Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. So special hello to the guys on Zoom. We're also live streaming this, but don't worry, guys. For the guys on Zoom, you are not going to be shown up on the screen. Don't worry about it. It's just me. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to week 6 of our Elemental Moves series. If you're new to this series, then basically it's about teaching you guys the fundamentals. You know, you've perhaps all been to a gym, and you've perhaps done a lot of the exercise that we've been doing so far in this series, and a lot of the exercises that we're going to be doing in this session. However, I would suggest that the vast majority of us haven't been taught how to do things with proper form, or really what you're trying to achieve with each of kind of like the key exercises. So far in this series we've covered things like squats, lunges, you know, key chest exercises, back exercises. We've covered core in the last session, and in this session we're covering shoulders. Okay, and all of our sessions are designed for endurance athletes, so that is always borne in mind, and I think that's probably why many of us don't know some of the kind of the finer details, because if you were really interested in stuff, you guys would probably be gym bunnies rather than triathletes and cyclists, etc. So, and that's obviously where your interest lies. So yes, in this session we're going to be covering lots of different shoulder exercises. It's potentially not going to be able to lift your shoulders tomorrow morning, so just a quick heads up. Another heads up in terms of kit that you're going to need. So a set of sort of medium weight dumbbells or similar weighted items that you've got around the house. It's basically something that you can press above your head, and probably for quite a few repetitions. And then a lighter set of dumbbells or similar weights for doing kind of more targeted exercises, so side raises and then exercises for your rotator cuff, which I'll obviously of course explain in much more detail than that. And then the final thing is a resistance band that is anchored at about hip height. Don't stress about it too much if you can't do that. I've got mine anchored low down because you know, for the camera, I've got everything out of the way. So I've got my anchored low down, so don't worry about it. I'm not doing it absolutely perfect either. But yeah, a resistance band, you want it to be quite light as well, because we're going to be working the rotator cuff with it, and they're quite small, kind of relatively weak muscles. Anyway, so I think that's probably enough introduction, other than to say that I haven't actually introduced myself. So if anyone is new to these sessions, my name's Rich. I'm the head coach and founder of RIAK Fitness. We're ostensibly a coaching outfit, looking after triathletes and cyclists with all manner of coaching relationships, training plans. We've also got a lot of on-demand content, things like that as well. I do just want to give a quick shout out for our partners, who you'll see coming up on the screen to my left. So one of our newest partners is Total Endurance Nutrition, who are nutritionists, advisors and consultants. So big shout out to them. Have a look at those guys, all their details and links, etc. on our website, on the RIAK online page. Also a shout out for 8020 Coffee, who you'll see a discount code for on the adverts as well, and also Sun-Dried, who you also see a discount code for. They're also doing a winter sale, guys, just FYI. Okay, so if you're in the hunt for some kit, maybe for like next winter, there's some big discounts there, and you can use our code as well. Anyway, so that's enough of the plugs and enough of the intro. Let's get started, shall we? So we're going to start down on the floor, and you're just going to need a set of really light dumbbells or weights. Okay, so we're just going to start off by warming up the legs, glutes, and also warming up our chest. So we're warming up the chest because the pectorals get involved a lot when it comes to your shoulders. Okay, we're talking about this stuff in a bit more depth. And what we're going to do is come into a leg bridge position, so drawing your heels really close into your bum. Okay, you want the weights just to the side of your chest. And then what you're going to do is you're going to drive through your heels, push your hips up, and then you're just going to press the weights in front of your chest like that whilst your bum is up. Weights come down, bum comes down. Okay, so hopefully nice and straightforward. All right, so driving through the heels. Let's go do 10 of these. So drive through the heels, push the weights up in front of your chest, not in front of your throat, back down, hips come down. So that's 1, 2. This isn't meant to be super challenging, guys, just a warm up. 3, 4. We're also going to be warming up the fronts of our shoulders as well. 5. Push those hips right up. 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one then. Exhaling as you push up. Okay, right then. Back up onto our feet using a nice light weight again. Not meant to be challenging. What we're going to do are some lunges with a bit of a shoulder press as well. So what you're going to do is go holding the weights wherever you're holding with your palms facing inwards. You're going to take a nice long step, lunge, and once you get to the bottom of the lunge, you're going to press up like that. Okay, so we're going to do 10 of these, so 5 on each side. So let's get ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Weights up to our shoulders, palms in. Nice long step, get to the base of the lunge, and then we're just going to press upwards. Don't worry about going too far with your lunge. You're not quite warmed up yet. 2. Just go a little bit further with each one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Should start to be getting a bit of a blow on now. 9 and 10. Okay. And you just pop the weights down. We're going to go back down to the mat again. This time we're going to lie on our front. Okay, so we actually did this, a similar exercise in the last session. Last week we were doing swimmers with the leg kick. This time we're putting our arms out straight in front of us. And what you're going to do is just kind of little flutters with your arms and your legs at the same time. So it's a little bit like the old Superman movies where he's going, flying around like this. You pretend you're doing that if you want. No judgment here. Okay, so we're just going to do similar exercise to that we did last time. Okay, so you're just going to flatten your arms and your legs at the same time. We're just going to do that for a good 30 seconds. Okay, ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So just fluttering your legs, keeping your legs nice and straight, pointing your toes. So if we've got any swimmers, this is quite a little bit like how you should kick in the pool. Okay, so you should feel this kind of in your glutes, activating a nice straight leg. Okay, avoiding that hinge kick in the pool. Just keep going, guys. Coming up to halfway, 15 seconds. Keep it going. Just hovering those hands above the floor. Coming up to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, good. So if you're wondering why we're messing around with the legs, whenever you're doing any kind of exercise, even if you're doing an upper body, you still want to make sure the rest of the body is warmed up as well. Because trust me, there's been times where I've injured my legs whilst doing upper body work, which is impressive in its incompetence, I have to admit. Okay, so now we're back down onto the mat. So we're just going to do some press ups. Again, talking about warming up your chest and your shoulders are pretty much inseparable, quite literally as well actually. Okay, so taking your arms just to around slightly wider than shoulder width apart. We're just going to do this on our knees, okay, and then we're just going to shift our weight forwards so that we're forward on our knees so that our shoulders are over our wrists. We're going to look about 2 or 3 feet ahead of us, okay, and then we're just going to encourage our chest to the ground, not our face, okay, like that. Okay, so just go as far as you can. We're just warming up, guys. We don't need to do anything too impressive. Okay, here we go for 10 though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good stuff. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to take our arms out in front of us like we're a zombie. Oh, do zombies do this anymore? I don't know. Anyway, so what you're then going to do is just start making little circles, going outwards first. Okay, it's going to get steadily bigger and bigger. Okay, until you're making big, kind of cone-shaped, nice and wide. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come back in the other way. Okay, so then steadily getting smaller. Don't need to be too exact about it, guys. Just about getting shoulders going. Then bring it in nice and close again. Okay, but then we're still going the same way. We're going to start to go wider again. Okay, so that we're going inward still and getting wider. Even just doing this, you see how quickly your shoulders start to get tired. Okay, and then we're going the other way and moving back in. You know, this is quite a simple exercise, no weight involved. But I don't know about you, my shoulders are starting to get a bit tired already. And I think that kind of just demonstrates, coming back into nice tiny tight circles now. And we're just going to go out one more time. Okay, other way, going inwards now. Yeah, shoulder muscles, relatively small and relatively weak compared to perhaps the other main muscle groups, okay? I'll talk to that about why a little bit. And then going outwards, coming back in. Okay, last time we're going back into the middle. Bring it right in. Until you bite back into the middle and stop. Cool. Okay, now we're just going to do some looseners. Alright, so we're going to start down in the 90-90 position, and this is a position that we use regularly, so it's worth kind of remembering. So the way that it sets up, yeah, starting with my left knee forwards, and that's bent to 90 degrees. Drawing my right knee up to my left heel. Okay, so this is a 90-90 position. This is a setup for quite a few exercises that we do, particularly mobility focused ones. Alright, so what we're then going to do is going to take my hand kind of out just to the side of my right knee. Okay, so left knee forwards, left hand forwards. Then my right hand with the palm facing up, I'm going to scoop underneath. We did do this last session, but just a quick reminder. So palm facing up, and we're going to scoop underneath and rotate into it. Okay, going as far as you can. Then we'll come out and pull our shoulder right back. Okay, so we get a spine rotation. You're getting a little bit of kind of leverage on the shoulder joint, and you should also be feeling it kind of around the outside of your hip. This is a great one if you have any piriformis issues. Okay, so we're just going to do 5 on each side. So scooping under and then rotating out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and last one, and 5. Okay, then swapping sides. So my right knee is forward this time. Okay, that means my right hand goes out just to the side, left hand up, and I'm going to scoop underneath that elbow, and then rotate outwards for 1. Bit stiffer on this side, 2, 3. Ran this morning, so stiff around the hips. 4. Last one. And 5. Okay, cool stuff. So now I'm going to come up onto all fours, do what's called a T-spine rotation. So on all fours, and then what you're going to do is just put one hand ever so slightly loosely behind your head, and then you're just going to similar kind of motion really. Just make sure you're keeping your chest parallel to the ground, so try not to pull up and out. So you're just going to duck the elbow underneath, and then rotating outwards like that. So you should feel this kind of in your upper spine and around your shoulder blade as you're kind of twisting outwards. Okay, we're just going to get the upper back a bit more mobile. So you do 5 of these on each side. Here we go. Keeping that chest level. 1. Pulling that elbow as high as you can for 2. 3. 4. And 5. And we move on the other side. Okay, so keep going, guys. Just right onto the other side, keeping that chest Parallel to the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Okay. Just relax a touch. We do another mobility exercise that we did last time. We're going to do some cat cows. Again, really good spinal mobility and kind of upper back mobility. So in this position, think about pulling your belly button to the floor, arching your back, pulling your head up, sticking your bum up to the ceiling. Pause, just let that pinch into your kind of mid to lower back a little bit. And then do the opposite. So pull your belly button up to the ceiling, stretch out your back, and then back down. Number 2. Always so important to do mobility exercises before you get strength training. Okay, they might seem to the uninitiated, but they're sort of just a nice thing to do, you know, a bit of a soft exercise, and you know, just an additional extra. But guys, I've been doing this stuff. I sound old saying this, but I'm definitely not old, I promise. I say to myself. I've been doing strength training most of my life. Played a lot of rugby, etc. growing up, and it was only I used to get a lot of strength training related injuries, and then when I started taking this stuff seriously, the mobility stuff, yeah, it drastically reduced my injury rate. So really take it seriously. Okay, and then final one, guys. What we're going to do, is going to turn face the wall. If you can get to the wall, you can use a chair, use the edge of a chair if you wish. But you're just going to put your hands lightly on the wall, then sit back on your heels, and just going to drop your head in between. Might have to shift it back a little bit if you feel too compressed in your shoulders. Drop your head in between, then you come up and push your hips into the wall. Again, feeling that little pinch as you arch your back, dropping down. So you feel this from back to your shoulders, but also into your lats. Another 3 of these. So hopefully by the end of this mobility exercises, a couple more, you should start to feel a little bit looser, a little bit ready to work hard. Always really important to make sure you take the time to warm up properly. I can tell you from extensive experience, when you don't, yeah, you're just begging to get injured. Okay, guys. So last few kind of looseners. I'm just going to do some leg swings as we always do. So kicking your foot a little bit higher, holding onto the wall. You're just going to do 10 backwards and forwards on each side. Really good exercise to do after a warm up. On a run, just loosening off the hamstrings a little bit, and as you kick your leg back, you're also going to loosen off your hip flexors. So 2 birds with 1 stone on this one. And then onto the other side once you've done 10. So just a quick reminder, guys, that we are here to answer questions. So if at any point you want to ask anything, we are connected to the chats on our various social media channels and those of virtual cycling news. We also do have the chat on Zoom, and you're also very welcome if you're on Zoom to unmute yourself at any point and ask any questions. Next, we're just going to start swinging across our body, okay, like so. These sessions, they are quite purposefully quite coach heavy. Okay, this particular series as well, you know, a lot of explanation, a lot of coaching, a lot of description. Okay, so these aren't the most high intensity sessions ever, but then arguably, and in my opinion, you don't necessarily want super high intensity in your strength training, particularly if you're doing a lot of high intensity training on the cardiovascular side. Okay, in my opinion, your strength training should be focused, purposeful, and controlled. Okay, we've done various know-how videos on strength training, so have a look at our website if you kind of want to delve into that a little bit more. I'm not going to go on my rant about HIIT circuit training that I usually do. Okay, final little looseners and important ones. Just going to loosen off the shoulders one last time. So drawing our arms round. Bring your arms in as close to your ears as you can whilst keeping your arms straight. Okay, so 10 forwards, then 10 backwards. And then across the chest. Okay, cool. Right then, guys. So hopefully you're feeling nice and loose, or devoid of stiffness at least. Okay, so we're talking shoulders. So guys, the shoulder joint. And grab some water, by the way, guys. Just take a second whilst I'm chatting away. Just going to explain a little bit about the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint. So your shoulder joint, basically, it's called a ball and socket joint. Okay, it's the same type of joint as your hip, but the main difference between your hips and your shoulder is the socket that your hip kind of creates in your hip joint is much deeper. Okay, and so that's why it's much harder to dislocate your hip than it is your shoulder. Your shoulder, the socket is much shallower. The benefit of that is you got much greater range on your shoulder than you do on your hips. All right. Okay. You can do similar motions, but you just got a far greater range with your shoulder. And one of the other downsides, though, as I kind of already implied, is when you've got that shallower socket for the ball, the head of the bone to fit into, it gives you great range of motion, but it does mean the joint is less stable. And so it's the muscles around the joint that have to do a lot of hard work to keep that shoulder stable. Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and in particular the rotator cuff, what that does. The other kind of, well, hopefully interesting thing I wanted to talk about was your scapula. So your scapula is your shoulder blade. So it's kind of like a, I want to say steak shaped. Like it's basically the shape of a sirloin steak. Because is that the shoulder of a cow? Doesn't matter. It's our shoulder blade, okay? So basically it is actually like a bone that kind of floats around your back. And it's basically surrounded by muscles. It's not actually kind of connected in the same way as most bones are. It's only connected to the axial skeleton, which is kind of like your spine, your sternum, etc. It's only connected by muscle. So it kind of floats around your back. And that actually forms part of your shoulder, comes in kind of at the back here, where your AC joint, your clavicle joins, okay? So that's also kind of where the rotator cuff comes in to keep that scapula kind of stable and where it needs to be. So there's a lot going on there, basically. It's a very complex setup. And so we have to treat it with the requisite amount of respect. So I talked about rotator cuff and how important that is in stabilizing the scapula and the shoulder girdle. Talked about that, so I'm just checking my notes, making sure I don't miss anything. Yeah, just one quick tip for any swimmers out there. If your swimming technique isn't on point, it can put a huge amount of stress on that shoulder joint. Okay, so in particular, when your shoulder's coming across the midline, or you're kind of pushing downwards with a straight arm, that length of that lever is long, and it kind of really levers into your shoulder joint. So it puts a lot of pressure. So just if you ever, so that kind of puts a real emphasis on making sure that your swim technique is up to scratch. And obviously, again, that's an opportunity for us to plug ourselves, but I'm gonna avoid that one. So let's get going then, shall we? So we're going to start off with some shoulder press exercises, which I think is probably the most common and one that we're most used to. All right, so we're going to start off with some shoulder press exercises. We're going to do these on your knees. If you don't have clearance on the ceiling, then feel free to do these on your knees. I'm going to do them on my knees so you can actually see me. Not that I'm particularly tall. We'll start off with shoulder press exercise. So that's this exercise. So your palms facing forwards, you start off with your elbows kind of level with your shoulders, and you press directly upwards, coming back down to level the shoulders. So guys, what you're feeling there, what you're utilizing is your deltoids, which is your shoulder muscle, okay? You're pushing, any kind of pushing exercises with your arms, you're generally using your triceps a lot, okay? And then you're also pinching into these muscles here. This is the top of your trapezius, your trap muscles. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using. So let's get started. So we're just going to do 15 shoulder press, nice and straightforward. So palms facing forwards. Here we go. 1. Back to the level of your shoulder. 2. 3. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Last 5 then. 11. Nice and controlled. 12. 13. 14. Final one. 15. Okay, and just pause, guys. So let the weights down, let the blood get back to your extremities. So just a quick one, guys. Make sure you're pressing all the way up, fully extending, and then bringing it right back down to your shoulder. So we're just going to change the exercise ever so slightly. So this time, what I want you to do is turn your palm inwards so that they're facing each other. And what that does, you can see, is even if you kind of try and resist it, when you turn it in, it kind of brings your shoulders round and forwards, and it just changes the emphasis. So in the first exercise, it was big emphasis on the traps and kind of like the whole meat of your shoulder and your triceps. Okay, when we turn the palms in, it changes the emphasis. Okay, you'll feel it. There's not so much less tension in your traps when you do that. So this is just another way. This is just a way of showing you that just changing your hand position suddenly creates quite a different exercise. So we do 15 of these now. Okay, so weight up to your shoulder with your palm in. Here we go for 15. For 1, 2, 3. And as you're doing this, guys, just take stock of how different this exercise feels. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, last one, and 15. And weights down. Let the blood get back to your hands again. Okay, so 2 very similar exercises, but you change the emphasis slightly, and suddenly you just completely, well, you don't completely, but you reduce the activation of your upper traps. Okay, what we're going to do now is basically combine the 2. And I think this is a really important part about when you're training your shoulders, guys. Moving it in single planes, it's not always the best effect. It's not always the best stimulus for your shoulder. Your shoulders, you want to test them moving through different planes, you know, challenging that stability, because only when you're doing that are you going to kind of encourage greater stability. Okay, so what we're going to do this time, all right, is you're actually going to start with the weight up in front of your shoulders like this with your knuckles facing forwards. This is called an Arnold press, after the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, this was his baby. And what you're going to do, as you press up, you rotate. So when you're at the top, your palms are facing forwards, and then you're going to rotate backwards to the front. Okay, so it's a really great exercise for demonstrating that, yeah, just a little bit showing in a rotational element, and it changes the emphasis again. All right, so we're going to do 10 of these because these are quite challenging. Okay, so starting with the weight up to our front of our shoulder. Here we go for 10. So pressing up, rotating so our palms are forwards for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. Oh, I love that exercise. And not just because it makes me feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I could not be anything less like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Weedy little triathlete. Okay, guys, so that's 3 exercises with a shoulder press. 3 very similar exercises, but have a different emphasis. And a part of this series is just to try and teach you how, once you understand kind of the basic underlying exercise, that very straightforward shoulder press, suddenly like, all the derivatives of that exercise make a lot more sense once you know kind of what you're doing, what's going on in your body. Okay, so we're moving on from the shoulder press now. We're going to do kind of 3 exercises in a little bit of a circuit. All right, first one is going to be dips. So dips are a great exercise because depending on how you do them, you can shift the emphasis from your chest to your shoulders and vice versa. Okay, so the version we're going to do is for your shoulders, of course. All right, so I'm going to use the windowsill. One thing I forgot to say at the start, so I will give you a bit of time to do this now. But if you grab a chair or something that you can use, so I'll demonstrate very quickly what we're going to be doing. So coming off the windowsill and then dropping down like that. So if you grab a chair, guys, just make sure it's braced against something. So brace it against the wall or a table or something that won't move when you put your body weight on it. Okay. Yeah, all kinds of things you can use, to be honest, guys. You can use a sofa if you've got that nearby. Just be careful not to slip off. All right, so what we're going to do is just a quick and easy 15 reps. Now, before we do that, guys, I'll just show you how to make this easier and harder. So basically, the further away your feet are, the harder it's going to be. Okay, so don't be afraid to bend your knees slightly and bring your legs a little bit closer. If you really want to challenge yourself, guys, you can use a weight. Okay, I'll just show you quickly how to do that. If we've got time, I will try and do another set of this. Okay, but what we're going to, if you've got the weight, you are going to need to bend your knees a little bit just so that you can create like a little bit of a, I want to say girdle, but it's not the right, probably not the nicest phrase considering where it is. Anyway, so that's how you introduce weight, like that. And if you want to make it really difficult, you can then get a chair or something. Can you just about see that? Yeah. And then put your feet on the chair. What this does is, it means you've got further to go down. So you have to go right down. And this is a good exercise for improving mobility in your shoulder because it forces you to kind of push the range of the joint a little bit further. In this session, I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. Not going to introduce any weight, but what we are going to do is just try and challenge ourselves by putting our feet as far away from us as we can manage. Okay, so your bum going as far down to the floor as you can go. So 15 reps. Here we go, guys. 1. Right back up to the top. Fully extend your arms. 2. 3. Make sure it's your arms doing the work. 4. And you're not kind of pushing your hips up like that. Your lower body stays still. 6. It's all on your arms. 7. Extending those arms. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Last 3 then. 13. 14. Final one. And 15. Really well done, guys. Good. Saw some good stuff on Zoom. Well done. Okay, so you will have feeling that hopefully kind of compressing into the front of your shoulder and working the fronts of your shoulders. And also, of course, working your triceps, which that exercise is a bit of a killer for. So next exercise we're going to do, and this is where you need a lighter weight. So just a few kilos. I'm going to use, what am I going to use? 4 kilos. Okay, so we're going to do some lateral and front raises. So the lateral raises, we're going to start with the weights just in front of our hips, with our palms inwards facing one another. And guys, one key point with lateral raises and front raises, only go up to shoulder level. Okay, when I go to the gym, I see all kinds of stuff. You'll see, and it's usually guys, come on, it's usually blokes, let's be honest, doing this, all this sort of stuff. Really, they're kind of part way between 2 exercises. So if they were to do that doubled over, that's a really good back exercise. But when you're doing it kind of fully erect. You only want it going up to shoulder level. Okay, so it should be super controlled all the way through. Okay, so you should be able to pause at the top and then bring it back together. Okay, so we do 15 of these, guys. So nice and lightweight. Here we go. 1. So you, over the next few reps, 2. You should start to feel this on the side of your deltoids. 3. The side of your shoulders. 4. Just control your breathing. 5. 6. 7. Only up to shoulder height. 8. Should start to feel a bit fatigued. 9. 10. Last 5. 11. 12. 13. 14. And 15. Good. Okay, just drop the weight a sec. Give your hands a shake out. Let the blood go back to your fingers. Okay, so some lateral raises. So that's working kind of like the outsides of your shoulders. So you should start to feel that kind of starting to fatigue there. We're now going to do front raises. Okay, so that's going to work the anterior kind of section of your deltoids, the front part of your shoulders. Okay, likewise, we're only going up to shoulder height. And another point on this one, try not to swing your hips and gain momentum. Okay, and it's really easy when you get to this point to start leaning backwards. Guys, just go as high as you can whilst it's under control. Okay, drop down the weight if you need to, if you have that option. I'm going to do a side on so you can see what I'm up to. But we're just going to do some front raising, keeping our arms pretty much straight. Very soft bend in the elbow. Here we go for 15. So raising up to the shoulder level. 1. So not leaning back. 2. That's good, guys. Well done. 3. Let's see if you can still do that when we get to the last 5. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. This is where it starts to creep in. Try to avoid that swinging motion. 11. 12. 13. 14. Last one then. And 15. Good stuff. Okay, excellent. So one exercise, getting back to my point earlier about wanting to move your shoulders through the different planes. So one of my favorite exercises, and if we have time again, I'll try and sneak this in and we'll do another circuit. But one of my favorite exercises is to do front to lateral raises, which looks like this. So you raise up to the front, then you draw your hands around to the side, down, back up to the side, to the front, and down. That's one of my favorite exercises. I think it's so good for developing stability around your shoulder joint. Okay, we'll hopefully sneak that one in towards the end of the session. However, I do just want to do some core exercises with you. We always love to work on a bit of core, and if you remember from the last session, just how important your core is. It's a whole central pillar, and we talked a little bit how you can make core exercises a bit more interesting and work different areas. We're going to show you how you can work your shoulders, and also finish off with and how you can introduce a bit of rotator cuff work. Okay, so the first exercise I'm going to do is called a body saw, and it is distinctly horrible. I'm sorry, guys. So there's a few ways you can do this. I'll just show you the most straightforward one, which is like this, into normal plank position, and then what you're going to do is push forward on your toes as far as you can go, back to the middle, and then sink back on your heels as far as you can, and this will indicate how much ankle flexibility you have. I actually have quite good. I'm not going very far though. Calves are pretty stiff. Back to the middle and then forward. So that's what we're going to do. There is an alternative version where if you got a nice slippy floor, you know, wooden or tiled floor, you can put a towel or something underneath your feet, and then that way you're just using your shoulders rather than using your feet to push yourself forward and back. Really tough, really good shoulder exercise. Or you can actually get those sliding pads I can't remember what they're actually called. Might be worthwhile. It's probably one of the only exercises you'd use them for, frankly, other than kind of like side lunges and things like that. So a good old towel on a slippy floor is always good, or on a mat. We're just going to do the normal version. There's also a version where you can do this single-legged, like that. And we'll keep it simple for this one. So we are going to do this for a full 60 seconds though, and this is killer, guys. All right, so get yourself set up, ready to go into a prone plank in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Okay, so starting off, good plank position. Okay, so shoulder is over elbows, and once we're set, our bum is down, and there's a nice straight line down from the back of our head to our heels. Once we're set, then we start to move. So we push forward on our toes, right as far as we can go. Hold it for a second, then move back to the middle. Then we push back on our heels, keeping our bum down. Don't be tempted to push your bum up into the air. Just go as far as your mobility allows. Pause, back to the middle again, pause, and then forward. And you just move between those 3 points of contact. Very, very slowly, very steadily. We've only got about 15 seconds left though, so hopefully the focus is taking the emphasis away from how hard this is. 10 seconds. Keep going. Keep transitioning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Okay, well done, guys. That's one of my favourite core exercises, and any of our athletes would have unfortunately been put through that exercise many a time. So now we're going to introduce a bit of rotator cuff work. So, guys, rotator cuff. Okay, they're muscles around your scapula that are so important for keeping the shoulder complex stable. Okay, they're quite small and relatively weak muscles. If you've ever done any shoulder injuries, the exercises that you end up doing, they tend to be focused on building up that rotator cuff. Okay, so this next exercise might seem vaguely familiar if you've ever had an injured shoulder. So we're going to incorporate a side plank in it though, because I actually find that working against gravity is the best. Okay, there is another alternative version which I'm hopefully going to show you, and that's where the resistance band comes in. Okay, but in this interest of getting you working hard, we're going to go into a side plank. So stack the feet, stack the knees, stack the hips. Okay, bring a very light weight close in to your body, going up into the side plank first. So make sure your chest faces forwards. We're then going to grab the weight and bring it up to our stomach. Okay, like this, and then you're going to rotate it, keeping your shoulder, so not shrugging, pulling your shoulder down, keeping your elbow close into your side, like that. And then you're just going to bring the weight up to parallel to the floor, pause, and back down. So that's the exercise we're going to do, okay? So we're going to do 45 seconds of this, 4, 5 on each side. Okay, so let's get ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Up we go then, into the side plank first, get set, shoulder away from the ears, and then we start to rotate outwards. Very smoothly, keeping that elbow glued into the body, just rotating around that axis. Okay, that's 15 seconds, 30 to go. Don't worry if you need to take a little break, we're halfway through though already. 15 seconds. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, good. Then swapping sides. This is a very hard exercise to try and talk at the same time, so I'm going to be probably a bit quieter in this one. Okay, guys, so on to the other side. Ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Up we go. So bring that elbow to your side, shoulders away from your ears. Once we're set, we start to go. It's very smoothly. Control is the name of the game, okay? So don't rush it. Keep going. Coming up to 15 seconds left. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Apologies if you've got a lot of heavy breathing in that one. It's just a challenging one. Right, what time are we on? Okay, good. Right, so we've got a little bit of time to do another round. So we're going to skip the shoulder press exercises because we pretty much killed the shoulder press off. We're going to go back into the circuit of the dips, and we're going to try that front raise to lateral raise, okay? And then we're going to finish off with another kind of set of the core. But instead of the side plank, I'm going to show you a bit more about the rotator cuff. Okay, so a few exercises and then we'll be done. So let's start off with the dips. Okay, so grabbing your chair, bracing against the wall. We'll rattle through this quite quickly, guys. So don't worry if you're a bit short on time. We'll get through it pretty quick. So into the dips, ready to go in 3, 2, 1. So challenge yourself. Take those legs far away as you can for 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good, guys. 5. Really straighten those arms out. 6, 7, 8, over halfway. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, last 2, 14, and right down, 15. Excellent stuff, the guys on Zoom, really good stuff, well done. Okay, then we're into this front to lateral raise. Okay, we can do 8 reps. Okay, just checking I've got weights to the same weight. Okay, so let's quickly demonstrate this one again. So up to shoulder height, to the side and down, up to the side, to the front and down, okay? So that would be 1 rep. Ready to go in 3, 2, 1, here we go. Up to the front, to the side and down, to the side, to the front and down, that's 1. Good stuff. 2, 3, 4, 5, a few more left. 6, try to avoid leaning backwards. I'm nearly doing it myself. Shoulders are getting very tired. 7, okay, last one. Up to the front, to the side and down. To the side, up. Oh, that last one was tough. Okay, good. Right, so before we get onto the core, I'm just going to quickly show you another rotator cuff exercise. So this is where you're going to need your long resistance band. I've got it anchored down at the floor, but ideally you'd have it anchored about hip height, so something about the height of this radiator. Just going to show you 2 exercises. Okay, we're going to do 8 reps on each side. Well, it's 2 exercises basically. We do 8 reps of each. So I just need to turn. Yeah, it's really unhelpfully position this. Just give me 2 seconds, guys. Did actually practice this before the session, but okay. So you can see what I'm using to anchor. Big heavy dumbbell. So basically you want to be standing at a right angle or perpendicular to the weight. And guys, so the point I was trying to emphasize whilst doing the side plank was what you don't want when you're doing rotator cuff work is your shoulder to come up to your ear like this, okay, because that's using your upper traps. All right, and we don't want those engaged at all when we're working on rotator cuff. So what you want to do is then make sure your elbow is tucked into your side. Okay, so we're closing the gate on this one to start off with. What you're going to do is draw your hand across your front like that. And just rotating around the axis of your elbow, which stays glued into your side whilst keeping your shoulder down. Okay, so we should do 8 of those. Here we go. 1. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. 2. Shoulder down. 3. 4. 5, 6, 7, last one, 8. Okay, so this is the exercise that we're basically doing whilst we're doing the side plank, but we're just kind of really isolating it now and focusing. So we change on to the other side. So unfortunately have to have my back to you, but maybe it might also give you a slightly better view of what's going on with my shoulder. So if I just exaggerate it, so I shrug it, put it right down, tuck my elbow in, stand side on to where the anchor point is, and I start to draw my hand across my front. So try not to flex your wrist. So try not to do anything with your wrist. One solid block with your forearm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so keeping the band in the hand you were just using, we're now going to open the gate. We closed the gate, now we're going to open it. Alright, so same setup, shoulder down, elbow in, but this time you start with your hand kind of close to your hip on the opposite side, and then what you're doing, and this might be a bit harder, is you're pulling your hand out as far as you can go. Ideally I'd have a lighter band and my hand should be able to go right out, okay? But I was lazy and couldn't be bothered to put another band on. Okay, so we're doing 8 on this side. Just go as far as your mobility allows. Here we go. 1. This might feel a bit awkward. 2. Let's do your best. 3. Again, try and keep that wrist steady. So try not to get a little bit extra by hyperextending your wrist. 4. 5. Starting to get tired now. 6. 7. You can't get very far, guys. Just try and get to the point where you can. So I can only get to about there, and just hold it for a second before you release. Okay, it's going to have a similar effect. All right. So that's good stuff. Yes, sorry. Just thinking about what I was doing there. So we're closing the gate. We're just opening it, and now we need to open it on the other side. Okay, so turning around, and then we're going to open the. Got myself confused here. No, so we want to. Okay, what was I just doing? Yes, okay, closing the gate. Sorry guys, bit of a brain fade there. Okay, closing the gate. Here we go. On the other side. 2, 3. I think I've gotten this wrong. Anyway, you know what I'm after. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Fully aware I got that one wrong, guys. Forgive me for that. Hopefully you know exactly what I'm after today. Looking to open the gate and close the gate on both sides, basically. Not my finest moment. Okay, right, we've just got one last exercise to do then, and that's that body saw on the floor. Okay, so let's make our way back down to the mat. We're going to do this for another 60 seconds. Okay, so down we go, ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go then. So setting up in a nice good plank position first. Okay, and then once we're set, then we start to move forwards on our toes, back to the middle, and then pushing back on our heels. So as best you can, try and move this through your shoulders rather than your feet. So when you get to this position here, where you're really far forward, pushing up through your hands and your elbows. So you're back into the middle, and then pushing back using your arms. Okay, you might have to push forwards on your feet a little bit, but as you come forward, rest there, then push up from your arms. Okay, so 20 seconds to go. Keep going, guys. This is if you use the towel version, oh man, this really wrecks your abs. Doing this is a fantastic exercise. Okay, last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, good stuff. Well done, everyone. So that's your set. So I'll just quickly recap what we talked about. So we're doing the shoulder press, where you're using your deltoids, your shoulder muscles, kind of the meat of your shoulder muscle, your trap muscles across the back of your neck, and your triceps. Okay, and I said when you change the grip, so your palms are in, changes the emphasis, moves it a little bit more to your chest and away from your traps. We then did the Arnold press, and I talked about how important it is, okay, to kind of move through different planes of movement. And then we did the dips, really good one for your shoulder muscle, for the fronts of your shoulders, and getting into your pectorals as well, and obviously really hitting those triceps hard. Then we did the side raises and the front raises, the lateral and front raises, and we also did in the second circuit, I talked about another good way of moving through the planes of movement like that. Okay, really good for stability. We then did the core stuff, the body saw, which we just did, how you can make that so much harder, both in terms of for your shoulders but also your core. We also did the side plank with the external rotation for the rotator cuff. So that's an example of how you can make a core exercise really functional for kind of working on those smaller shoulder muscles that people seem to be, sorry, that's really unfair. We all are, let's face it, a little bit more reluctant to work those smaller muscles rather than doing kind of big, more impressive compound exercises. I'm guilty of that myself. And then I just showed you quite badly rotator cuff exercises. You got the two exercises. These are really good for building shoulder stability. You got the closing the gate exercise, and then you got the opening the gate exercise. Both times making sure your shoulders are down so that your traps aren't engaged. Okay, I think that's the lot. But if anyone's got any questions, guys, I'll just stick around. I've obviously got the social media chat that you can tap away on, or on Zoom. Feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat. Either way, guys, hopefully you learned a little bit and wrecked your shoulders a bit in a good way. I imagine they will be sore tomorrow. But get yourself a nice high protein meal on, have a nice stretch, and get the fluids back on board. But otherwise, guys, yeah, thanks very much, and I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, well, I hope you had. It's always inevitable as well. You'll do your shoulder exercises, then the next day you'll have to go shopping or something and have to carry big heavy bags around. It's just never works well. But thanks very much for your company this evening, guys, on Zoom. Appreciate it. If anyone's got any questions, then I will stick around. Take care, everyone. Have a lovely evening.